Okay, I need to do this quick because my camera's about to, my phone's about to run out of battery. So I've done it. Yeah, these are all secured. We've got plastic pieces on, holding the all the buckets on. I took this part off here, which was secured there. I can use that, another one of these plastic pieces on the inside with a wooden piece on the outside, and I can use this to find the hole pattern, which is great. Make a hole for the axle, make a hole in the wooden part for the axle, and then we can take it from there. So yeah, pretty pleased with progress actually. These are quite solid. I'll see if I can turn it over without making a massive racket. Oh god. There you go. And yeah, so there's the little parts on the inside, all made out of, so the whole thing's been made out of scrap, apart from the bolts, which is, I think, is pretty cool. So yeah, I was just listening to myself droning on in the previous video. I've just been editing this together. This is gonna put this on the computer and then literally post it out as soon as I can. So yeah, sorry for droning. I think it was Christmas really takes it out of me sometimes. So yeah, here we are. So the next step's really going to be trying to build up the wooden frame that this is going to sit in and how I'm going to fix it by the side of the stream. So apologies for rushing through this, but my phone's about to run out of battery and I really need to get this out. So yeah, hope that was of some interest. Aircraft stuff will resume soon when the weather gets better and the workshop warms up. Yeah, you're all doing okay, and thanks for watching if you have, and more and on. Thanks very much. Bye. So I have to make a very simple structure for this out of whatever I've got available. So yeah, there's just a couple of lengths of timber each side. I'm going to have some material at this end to kind of be the point at which the whole swing arm can be attached to something, and then yeah, a longish, I might move the wheel backwards in this kind of a bit closer to the pivot point, and then at the other end we'll have something that I can use to suspend the other end. I think with a reasonable amount of leverage, so hopefully we can then dip the wheel in the water just as much as we want to. Actually, it may need to go a bit closer to this end actually, so that we don't have material trailing in the stream, although that doesn't really make a lot of difference from an efficiency perspective. Okay, well, let's see how we get on. I'm trying to use as much reused material as possible, but I did have to unfortunately buy some stuff for this, which obviously causes me great distress, but we will use as much recycled stuff as I can. Okay, I'll bring you back in a mo when I've done a little bit more cutting and screwing, etc. Okay, that didn't take too long. Just got a piece on the end. This is literally just whizzed together very crudely. A cross piece there, this diagonal brace which I'm going to trim off at each end. So I'm just working on trying to make the internal, I'm just trying to make the internal component to go across inside there to support that side of the drum. On the other side I'll be able to put a piece of material, and so I'm just grappling now with how you measure across the inside of a piece of kit like this with a tape measure, but I've kind of guesstimated it from measuring the outside. I'm going to cut a piece, see if it fits, and then trim it down till it does fit, and then cut another piece to the same dimension. So I'm envisaging some kind of cross-shaped wooden piece in the middle with a reinforced part in the centre to take the axle going through the middle. Anyway, let's see how we get on. So it turns out 570mm is almost exactly right. So yeah, so I'm just going to have to sort of shape these two pieces so they fit together rather than sort of crossing over the top of each other. And that, I appreciate that's going to make this a sort of a relatively weak point, but my plan is to put a large piece of material over the top to reinforce it, because that's going to have the hole going through it for the axle, the 20mm hole. So yeah, I'll just do that bit of shaping work now, and we'll see where we are then. So there we go, that's the finished article. I made it a little bit too well actually. So there's these are I kind of cut halfway through each side and made a channel so that when they fit together they form a cross like that. And I was kind of expecting to knock it together and then be able to take it apart and put it back together again and glue it, epoxy it together, but I've whacked it together and it's a really tight joint, so I'm kind of thinking I might just take that and maybe put some screws through to lock it in place. But yeah, that's a kind of, you know, by my sort of reckoning, an unusually good joint for me. So what's going to happen then is that's going to go inside there, and that should sit in. I might do a little bit of fettling, but that will fit inside there. If I just pull it up to the, can I pull it up one-handed? This is probably using a camera, isn't it? Right, so yeah, so anyway, that's going to sit inside there. Going to drill through the centre to take the axle. I mean, in this, that's probably right. In this case, the axle's only really, the axle isn't transmitting any torque because I'm going to bolt a sprocket to the outside of that side of the drum. So actually, all the axle's doing for this is just supporting it. Obviously, it's good that it's on bearings. It has to be on bearings, of course, but there is no there's no torque, no drive being transmitted through the axle. So and also this is going to turn at a very slow speed, so it gives you lots of freedom to not necessarily be 100% accurate. I'll do our best, but we're not talking about something that's going to turn at hundreds of RPM, so balance issues are not particularly huge. Yeah, so I reckon I'll pop that in, get it screwed in. I'm going to screw in through the outside. Once I've got it positioned, screw in through the outside into those elements. I'm going to have to take all this apart again to treat those wooden parts, which is it's going to be hard to do because I don't like taking things apart again. But I'm notoriously bad for just finishing things and then thinking, oh, it doesn't matter. But in this case, it really does need to be treated because it's going to be in water. So there we are. So that's that. I'll carry on. Things are progressing nicely. So there we go. I've cut some holes with my hole saw. The axle goes through that side, and then through the centre of this, I've run some screws in from the outside to secure these at all the corners. That's fine. And yeah, so I just used the little hole saw on my hand drill to do the metal side, and I used the pillar drill for the wooden side, and it's all coming together quite well. So that's that. I'm going to add some there's going to be a wooden plate that sits on here, and then on the inside of that plate is going to be one of these plastic things that's going to sit on the inside of that. It's the same as I used for these, a gift that keeps on giving. It's just the right size. I can put some bolts through into this through a wooden piece of material that will go on the outside, and then we should have a nice secure support, well, mount for the axle. Well, kind of it mounts on the axle, and yeah, we should be. That's almost like good to go, apart from putting the chainring, bike chainring on mounting that on here. So that will be. I need to think about that when I get the wooden piece to make it large enough to take that, because I don't really want to bolt through into any of these holes. Yeah, so there we are. Onwards. So there's the plastic plate that's going to go on the inside. I drilled it to 5mm, and these are M6 bolts, so they're kind of chewed through nicely. They're actually really tightly secured in there, so I can introduce that into the middle of the wheel, push it out through these holes here, and it all should stay quite nice and together. So they're kind of self-tapped into the plastic. The plastic's quite good. It's quite sort of not soft exactly, but it's not brittle, so doesn't feel like a cracking type of material. It just kind of, it's a bit elastic, so the threads just chewed their way through and they're nice and tight. So that's really helpful. So I'll pop that in, and then I need to think about what's going to happen on the outside. So I fitted that piece to the inside. There's not a lot of bolts sticking out, so the idea of fitting a piece of material like this to it is not going to happen. So what I've decided to do is, I could get longer bolts, but I haven't got any. So I'm going to fit another plastic piece to this, which has been screwed, kind of blind screwed into another piece of material like that. Of course, I'll have to drill this out to give access to the bolt, the nuts that I'm going to bolt in, and then yeah, I'll run some screws back into this, and that will give us something that we can connect something like this to, the outer chainring. I've got an old crank set that's knackered, but I can cut the outer chainring off it and mount it to something wooden using screws relatively easily. So yeah, so that's the game plan. So I have to, yeah, screw this into something, drill that out to give access to the holes, and then once I've done that, I can offer it up to this, and we'll have some kind of a drive. And of course, not forgetting to drill a hole for the axle as well. Anyway, my phone is almost out now, so I'll probably wrap it up there now. Yeah, more and on. And I realise I haven't really given any impression of what the whole kind of game plan is at a macroscopic scale. So maybe the next one I'll just do a very quick thing about just doing a little drawing. Okay, take care, and speak again soon. Bye.